The streetlights cast long, dancing shadows on the wet pavement. Rain had just stopped, leaving the air thick with the smell of damp earth and city life. It was late, the kind of late where the world feels like it's holding its breath, waiting for something to happen. For a young girl named Lily, walking home from her part-time job, that something happened in a flash of screeching tires and a sickening thud. A car, sleek and dark, sped through the intersection, ignoring the red light. It struck a pedestrian, a man who had been crossing the street, sending him flying through the air before he landed in a crumpled heap. The car didn't stop. It didn't even slow down. For a split second, just before it vanished around the corner, Lily's eyes met the driver's. It was a man, his face pale and contorted in a mask of panic. The image was seared into her memory, sharp and undeniable. She stood frozen, the half-eaten sandwich in her hand forgotten. The silence that followed was more deafening than the crash itself. Then, doors opened, people shouted, and the night was once again filled with sound. But for Lily, only one image remained, the driver's face. The next day, the police came to her door. They were going door to door, canvassing the neighborhood for anyone who might have seen something. Lily's heart pounded against her ribs. She had seen everything. She could describe the car, the man, the very look in his eyes. But when the officer, a kind-faced woman with tired eyes, asked her if she had witnessed the accident, the words caught in her throat. Fear, cold and sharp, pierced through her. The man she saw looked powerful, maybe even dangerous. What if he came after her? What if he found out she was the one who identified him? She lived alone with her younger brother. She couldn't risk putting him in danger. So, she shook her head. No, she whispered, her voice barely audible. I heard the crash, but I didn't see anything. The lie tasted like ash in her mouth. The officer nodded, thanked her for her time, and moved on to the next apartment. As the door clicked shut, Lily leaned against it, her legs weak. She had made a choice. She had chosen safety. She had chosen silence. But as she replayed the scene in her mind of the man on the ground, the speeding car, the driver's panicked face, she couldn't shake the feeling that she had chosen wrong. The silence she had wrapped around herself felt less like a shield and more like a cage. A week passed. The hit and run was all over the local news. The victim, a high school teacher named Mr. Harrison, was in critical condition. The police were desperate for leads. Then, one evening, a breaking news report flashed across the television screen. An arrest had been made. Lily leaned closer, her breath catching in her chest. A grainy photo of a man in handcuffs appeared. Her stomach dropped. It wasn't him. It wasn't the man she saw behind the wheel. The man on the screen was a local handyman, someone who vaguely matched a partial description given by another, more distant witness. His alibi was weak, and the police, under immense pressure to solve the case, had focused on him. The news anchor reported that he was being held without bail. He was a father of two, with no prior record. His family was on screen, weeping, insisting on his innocence. Lily felt a wave of nausea. An innocent man was going to prison. His life, and the lives of his family, were being torn apart because of her fear, because of her silence. That night, sleep was a stranger. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw the face of the arrested man, his expression a mixture of confusion and despair. Then she would see the real driver's face, cold and panicked. And finally, she would see Mr. Harrison, the teacher, lying on the cold, wet pavement. Her silence was no longer a quiet refuge, it was a roaring accusation. It screamed at her from the darkened corners of her room. It was a weight, heavier than any physical burden, pressing down on her conscience. She had thought her lie was a small, personal thing, a simple act of self-preservation. But now she saw its true form. It was a thread that had unraveled, causing a web of injustice that had entangled an innocent life. The guilt was a physical ache, and knot in her stomach that wouldn't loosen. She knew she couldn't live with this. The next morning, with dark circles under her eyes and a resolve forged in a sleepless night of turmoil, Lily walked out of her apartment. She didn't go to work. She didn't go to school. She walked, step by determined step, to the local police station. The building looked imposing, official. For a moment, the old fear flickered within her. But the image of the innocent man's family, their faces streaked with tears, pushed her forward. This was bigger than her fear. She walked up to the front desk, her hands trembling slightly. "I need to speak with the detective in charge of the hit and run on Elm Street," she said, her voice stronger and clearer than she expected. An officer led her to a small, sterile room. The same kind-faced detective from her apartment entered a few moments later. She looked at Lily with a mix of curiosity and exhaustion. "You said you didn't see anything," the detective stated, her tone neutral. Lily took a deep breath. The cage of silence was about to break. "I was scared," she began, the words tumbling out. "I lied. I saw everything." She told them about the car, the speed, the red light. And then she described the driver. She described his pale face, his dark hair, the panicked look in his eyes. She gave them a description so clear, so detailed, that it was as if she were painting a portrait. As she spoke, the weight that had been crushing her began to lift. The fear was still there, a faint echo in the back of her mind, but it was drowned out by a profound sense of relief. She had finally done the right thing. Courage wasn't the absence of fear, it was acting in spite of it. Based on Lily's testimony, the police reopened the investigation. The man she described was a wealthy businessman with a history of reckless driving. When confronted and presented with the detail of Lily's witness account, he confessed. The innocent handyman was released, walking out of the precinct into the tearful, relieved arms of his family. The news cameras captured the reunion, a scene of pure joy and justice restored. Lily watched it from home, a small, anonymous smile on her face. A few weeks later, she received a simple and signed card in the mail. It just said, "Thank you." She never knew who sent it, the handyman's family, or maybe even the police. It didn't matter. Her reward was the quiet peace she now felt. The story serves as a powerful reminder. We often think that the loudest statements are made with words, but sometimes our silence can be a deafening lie, a lie that can imprison the innocent and protect the guilty. Choosing to speak up, to lend your voice to the truth, is one of the most courageous things a person can do. It can right a wrong, restore a life, and bring light into the darkest of moments. Thanks for watching. If this story moved you, please consider liking and subscribing for more content that makes you think.